Are you ready to see the new workshop? This is one shed, that's another shed, and there it is. I don't know how big it looks on camera, but it is 10 by 12. 5-foot double door on this side, 3-foot door on this side. Got a window here that's offset, and I'll show you why as we go in. So I had this window put right on the corner here because of the other shed there, so at least I can see out. It's got a loft up here. It's got a loft on that side. An 8-foot workbench, which I've already got messed up because I'm just trying to get everything organized. And, well, here we go, huh? Got a bike in here. So, the 71 XS1B. Finally got a good place to work on it. Some room on both sides. And I'm going to start on it today. Guess we'll pull these carbs back off, adjust the valves, change the oil, maybe do some other stuff. One thing is, I'm sorry, I had the flu this week, and that's all it is, the flu. So yeah, my voice is coming and going, but the clutch is stuck on this side, so no matter how hard I tried, you know, adjusting it or pulling it, it just won't release. So while the oil's out, I guess we'll pull that side cover off and see what's going on. Probably end up replacing the clutches and plates in there anyway. So that's what I got going on for today. Hope you stick around to watch. The bikes have 2 drain plugs. It's kind of dark over here. Hopefully you can see. One here and one back here. Now under here, the sump plate, there is an oil filter. There's also another oil filter on the side cover, so it's actually got 2. Seeing as I know nothing of this bike, we're going to pull them both and see what kind of crap is inside. All right, guess we'll start with this one. It's a 27 millimeter, and I can do this one. I'm gonna give it a try. All right, wasn't as bad as I thought. And the back one, oh, that one's tight. Let me get this one started. I'm gonna get you out of the way. I don't want to get oil all over the camera. Now, if you remember, I did put oil in this bike because it was low, just to get it running. Yeah, probably change both gaskets on there too for the drain plugs. I mean, it's clean, but like I said, I put fresh oil in it too, so we'll see. Now this is a pressure treated lumber, and you can paint it, but you have to wait, usually like 6 months or so. And one easy way to tell if it's ready to be painted is, right now if I put a drop of water on it, it would bead up on the wood. But after about 6 months or so, if I put a drop of water on it, it would start to sink in, and that's when you can paint it. So, all right, I'm going to put you down, and I'm going to try to get the other plug loose, and then we're going to remove that sump pan underneath there. And let's see if we get any additional oil out of the back plug. I had actually wrapped the wrench with a rubber mallet to break this one free. It didn't come out as easy as the front one. Yeah, some in there. Both these plugs have magnets on them. There's no huge chunks of anything on there, and the oil looks pretty clean on this one too, which is good. One thing I should mention, whether it's your motorcycle or your car, before you drain the oil out, make sure, like in your car, the hood opens, or your oil cap opens or something. You don't want to drain the oil out and find out your hood cable is broken and you can't put oil back in it. At least if you check and it's broken, then you can bring it somewhere and, have that repaired first. All right, so we'll let this drip a little bit, and we'll start taking the screws off the sump, and I hope it comes out easy. I've had them glued on, and then cleaning the gasket is a mess sometimes if it rips. So we'll just pray that this is all right, because doing that on your back, I mean, even if I had a bike lift, there's still not a lot of room underneath this thing. So, all right, we'll work on that next. I am going to take the exhaust off next. Remember, these things were not on very tight to begin with. I'm going to take a paint pen and mark right where that lines up. And let's see. Looks like I'll be taking the brake pedal off too, and the front stand. Let's see. Oil filter's under here. Still got to take that out. And then I can get this cover off. All right, that'll be next. I wonder when the last time these bolts have been out. Oh, cover's coming off easy. That's a good thing. Alright, looks like one nut and then the oil filter. Well, let's see what this oil filter tells us. It doesn't look bad at all. You know what it does look though is dry. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little metal in there. Nothing out of the ordinary. Alright, that gasket came off with it. Alright. Interesting. Doesn't look too bad in there. Alright, so new gasket. Just stick that in there for now. Let's see. New filter. Put that little holder thing back in. Should just all kind of align. We'll give that a little bit of a tighten. This does not have to be like super torqued. We've got a new gasket to go in here. And we've also got new bolts for it. Now this thing is definitely goes one way, so the thicker end goes down here. Would make sense. We are going to replace all these bolts. That is, as soon as we get everything to line up. Don't remember it being like this, being this difficult. This is not a massively torqued item, so snug them up good, but that's about it. Do not want to strip these things out. Okay, that's the oil filter. And we're up to the next project.
I removed the original sump filter, and this is the original sump filter because it's the metal one with the screen. A lot of times what happens, they would go bad, the little welds would break here. This one's actually in really good shape. No damage to it. As long as it's good like that, I'm not going to replace it. I do have the new style that came out with the magnets and stuff, but even these tend to rip sometimes. But I bought this for the XS1, and the XS1 had the same filter in it, so I reused it. The XS2 engine had been replaced, so I put one of these in there. So I'm going to have a spare. But you know, when I check these, I'll just make sure that all the welds on the screens are good from now on. The real pain in the ass about these is the original gaskets on these things. It takes hours to clean them off this surface and the engine surface. I know some people actually will flip the bike on its side to try to clean them rather than doing it on their backs underneath. I'm gonna give it a try and hope for the best. I mean, there's a lot of things that can dissolve gaskets or this and that. I don't know if any of those actually work. I've always been the scraper type person, you know, to do it little by little. So we'll see. And we'll get that back, new gasket on it, and get that back in the bike. All right, a couple hours later. And I've got all the gasket surfaces cleaned up. There's no gasket that goes on here when you put these filters in. So it just kind of sits on there. And you bolt it in there. Now, as far as the gasket surface is concerned, everybody does it different. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. You want to put it on dry, you want to put it on with grease on it, make it easier to get it off next time. You want to put it on with some sealer on it. Whatever you prefer, you know, I mean, yeah, somebody's going to say you're doing it wrong. Because that's not the way they do it, right? But however you want to do it, that's the way you do it. Me, I prefer to put a little sealer on it. Not silicone or anything like that. But like 3-Bond or Yama Bond or something on there. Just in case. And it's just a light little film. And yeah, it's going to make it a pain in the ass to get it off again next time probably. But I've had good luck with it. Not leaking. Just smear a little on there. All around the edges. To those of you who are new to an XS650 and you want to attempt to remove this plate, I'll give you a little bit of advice. Those of you who have done this before probably already know this. Once you get the bolts out, this thing is stuck in place. But right here where these little tabs are, you can actually get a pry bar, screwdriver, something underneath that to pry against the case to get them out. That's the only spot you really have to get this thing loose. You know what I could do? I could glue it on this side and not on the case side, and that might make it a little easier next time if I don't have to scrape the case, because the case is the problem. You know, I mean, this, it's off. It's not that big of a deal. All right. We will put the gasket on. Hopefully all the holes line up. I am going to put a little bit on this side of it. It's just a little insurance. Not a big fan of oil leaks, you know. Just a light coating. So, yeah, cleaning gasket is like my least favorite thing to do on these bikes, on any old bike, because it is a pain in the ass. So the next thing I have to do is I'm going to have to take the rocker arms, the rocker covers off to check the valves. So again, that's another thing where I will probably be struggling with gasket. But once that's done, I don't think I have any more. Well, I take that back. I take that back. I got to get the clutch cover off. So yeah, probably struggling with that for a little bit. All right, that's about all I'm gonna do to this. Make sure these holes are lined up. And yeah, we'll stick this on underneath the bike.
It amazes me that these screws do not use any kind of washers on them. I'm not sure what the thought was behind that. I heard these are like shear bolts too, that you can snap them off going too tight. So be careful on that. I think they're like maybe 7 foot-pounds or something real light. Let's kind of get them all in and get them all started. A lot of times I don't go with the torque wrench. I just go by feel on a lot of these bolts. When you've been a mechanic for like 40 years, you kind of get a feel for some of this stuff. And that's the thing, I started out, I went to automotive school when I was like 18 and got a job as a mechanic for 20-something years. And that's what I did for a living. It wasn't motorcycles though, it was just cars. And then, you know, as you get older, you're tired of getting greasy and you get tired of lifting heavy things, transmissions, cylinder heads, stuff like that. So I went into a different field when I was, I went into manufacturing like when I was in my 40s. But you know, the knowledge is always there. So I had always ridden motorcycles since I was young. I think I got my motorcycle license when I was maybe 20, maybe earlier than that. And bikes take up a lot less room. They're, excuse me, the parts aren't as heavy. The engines could be heavy, but that's about it, you know. It's a little bit different of a challenge, but, you know, engines all work the same pretty much. Once you know how to do it, you know how to do it. Okay, so we'll torque these up a little bit in kind of a crisscross pattern. The sad thing is I really didn't even have to take this filter out. It was that clean and all that, but you know, if I hadn't, that's when it would have been full of crap. If you take this sump filter out, you see a whole bunch of black plastic in it, your cam chain tensioner is more than likely gone. All right, drain plug, new gasket. Here's the second drain plug down here. I have to take this one back out and put a new gasket on it because I didn't have one at the time. I thought I did. And we are done with the oil change. Alright, little change of plans. While I've got all drained out of oil, so take this cover off, get to that clutch, and see what's going on under there. You definitely, when you're taking this cover off, you want to make sure when you're pulling the cover out, you hold this kickstart shaft in. You do not want to pull that out by mistake. Disengage it. A little finagling to get this off. There we go. I marked where it was. So I knew where to put it back in again. rust off. I have new washers for these. They're like extra thick washers. And I believe I have to take this off. Something I did notice was that this is the stop down here. It was actually hitting the footrest before the stop. It's pretty easy, and then you get access to here. I think we just okay, that's going to be tight. We just take the tachometer cable off, and this should come right off. Got my oil pan under there, just in case. Gonna need an extension on this probably. Yeah. Longer ones here. And that should do it. The filter should stay on here. It's just a matter of getting this out. And like I said, holding this in. This isn't gonna fight me. I might get lucky on the gasket. Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow. I'm telling you, it's a good thing I took this off. You know why? Oil pump is missing. There should be an oil pump there. There is no oil pump in this. It's a good thing I didn't run this more than a few seconds. Wow. What the hell is going on there? Whew. All right, well. That is bizarre. Holy crap. I am at a loss. There is no oil pump in this bike. I have side covers with oil pumps in them. I'm gonna have to scavenge one from another unit. Why would somebody have this bike and not have an oil pump in it? Well, it ran. It didn't seem to make any unusual noises, so I guess we go from here. Now, here's another cover out of my stash here. Look at the light here. This is what drives the oil pump and the tack gear. That has nothing. This is a 256 cover. This is a 256 cover. So 256 engines were 70 and 71. The easiest way you can tell by looking at one, this bolt pattern. If the bolt were here and here, it would be 72 and up. If it's at like 11 o'clock and 5 o'clock, that means it's 70 and 71. It does say 256 in the cover, but if you're not looking at the cover, then yeah, that's how you would tell. All right, so it's weird that they put this back in and that the oil pump and the drive, everything's missing. Thank God this clutch stuff. Because I may not have taken the side cover off. And you know, these engines do not have oil pressure gauges, oil pressure lights. I only ran it for a few seconds each time and it sounded good. So, I mean, there's these cranks are on roller bearings. So they're very over-engineered. I do believe that the crank will kick up some oil for the cylinders. So, yeah, I'm hoping nothing got damaged. It didn't sound bad, so we're going to roll with it for now. If the engine has to come out later, it has to come out later. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? It's not that big of a deal. I actually have another set of cases, everything for a 256 engine, cylinder heads, barrels, new old stock pistons I have. So, I mean, if this thing needs to be rebuilt, it needs to be rebuilt. But I'm not going to do that unless it absolutely needs it. And, yeah. I'm going to take this pump out and put it in this cover only because this cover needs a lot of polishing compared to this cover. So I'll do that. And you can hang around and watch that. And then we'll move on from there. Alright, there's a little keyway here. Looks like it's falling out. Where is it? Yeah. Alright. That out. There we go. Alright. So, 3 screws and an oil pump comes out. I have a feeling we may or may not need an MFAC driver for this. If we do, I'm probably going to need to get a hammer. I believe we might. Oh. Okay, I'll be back. All right, let's try this again. Make sure I got this in the right way.
We're just rounding them out. Oh, that one broke free. There's one. Probably can't see this one. These two are starting to round out, which isn't a good sign. Alright, so those two will probably need to be chiseled out to get that oil pump off, and then I'll need new screws. Oh well, such is life, right? This is a good bit too. It's a new bit. Let's see what we can do with that. Those clutches, gonna have to do the same thing down there. That was easy on that one. Let's hope they're all like that. And nope. I got a, that one's good. They sell like a kit that you replace these things with because these things are garbage. I got half of them. Let me try this one more time. Got it that time. 2 more to go. 1 more to go. Got it. All right, good. I can get them out with a regular screwdriver now. A couple other things we can check while we're in here. We probably will get that off. Our plunger is here. Is there supposed to be a spring on that? I don't remember. But let's take a look at one of these. And that was kind of stuck. I've seen worse. These all out of here. Probably, ooh, yeah, some of these are stuck together. I'm glad they did. Okay, I believe there's a ball in here, or either there's the rounded into the clutch rod too. I don't think there's any secret to this. If we get this off, we can pull the rest of it off, and behind there are a couple of springs and the shifter adjustment. I'm going to need an impact gun out here, and I don't have power right now, so I may have to run an extension cord. I'm going to end it for today. Me and my wife are going out tonight, so I will be back in the morning, and we'll continue from there. All right, so not gonna lie to you, it's not the next day. It's been a few days, but Huh? I have lights.
I have an outlet which is being backfed from outside right now because I don't have power coming in yet. But that means I can use my outlets for now until I get the power coming in. I got a light switch and a socket over there. My buddy hooked me up. He's an electrician. It's socket up there for the lights. So we are good to go. I did get this pump out of the old one. You can see the screw heads. I don't know if you can see that too good. I had to chisel them to get them to start coming off, but they finally gave up. So I got that. The tachometer drive, I've got to replace the O-rings seals in there. So that's good. I did get new screws for the pump. I have to soak the clutch plates for 24 hours, so I guess they're not going in today. I forgot to do that the other day. I still do have to take the clutch basket off. So it's good that I have power because I'm going to use an electric half-inch impact on that. Get that off, and then we can replace the springs. There's a thrust bearing behind this. Gonna change that out. So that's the plan for now. Time to get going. So here's the old set. Here's the new set. Yeah, much more bearings in there. And what that's supposed to help with is finding neutral, shifting, that type of thing. Alright. Make sure we got this back on right again. There we go. Locked into the teeth on this gear. Sure everything's clean. Pop that into there. Now, there is one thick washer that goes on. It's easier just to leave it on the back of this. Yes, now, or is it? Oh, I'll just stick it on here. Because that, yeah. Let's put this back on. Good. Flat washer, a lock washer, and the nut. On later models, they had a washer over here that had a tab that you bent over instead of the lock nut to keep that in place. Not so much on this one. What's the torque, you ask? I don't know. Whatever. Tight. That's the torque. Okay. After the clutch is soaked and all that, we'll put this back together. I cleaned up this gasket surface. Pretty good. I touched it a few more times and put a new gasket on it. And we got to get the pump installed on that other cover. And then we can put that on. So before I put the pump in, the kickstart seal, I want to replace that. Because that's got a little chunk missing on it. So we'll pound that out and pound the new one in. Alright, after a struggle of getting that one out, I've got the new one. I've got some oil on the edges of it, and we're gonna pop this in. Gonna use a socket. So that's that. Now, the pump. So this is the pump. If you're going to install one of these, or you're going to replace those little rotor things in them. See these two arrows? They have to line up either there or you line them up away from each other. Either way, it changes anyway. So there's no gasket. I think we're going to give this a little tap. The plastic handle. Before we put the screws in, make sure that this doesn't bind. After we put the screws in, make sure it doesn't bind. All right, got 3 new screws. I am probably going to Loctite these. I just want to see what happens when I tighten them down before I put Loctite on them. Make sure they don't bind or anything like that. All right. So I found out it's easier to do it this way. Put the gear on, then put the keyway in. And try to get this one lined up. All right. That's just a lock washer and a lock nut. And then that's that. We put the transmission gear in there. All right, I'm gonna go eat dinner and I'll be back out in a few. So back from dinner, I had this gear on backwards. Why didn't you just tell me? Oh well.
the tap drive. There's an O-ring here, but also up inside, there's a seal inside here, so oil doesn't leak through here. So I'm hoping, because I mean it's way down here, you know, far from the end. Way down here, far from the end. I'm hoping that this punch, I can get in there and hopefully try to knock it out. We'll see if I have any luck with that. So on this one, I thought it had the seal in here. That's what the XS1 had. This one doesn't. This one has an O-ring. So I just have to put an O-ring in it. Hope I get it down straight. And then place the O-ring on here. And I should be okay. Let's see if I can get this to seat in now. You probably won't be able to see it, but I believe it went in. Let's put the shaft in and see what happens. Yeah, okay, we're good there. So now it's just a matter of replacing this one. And this one should be fairly easy. If I had nails, it would be easy. And we'll put a new O-ring on here. Give a little oil and pop everything in. There is a little washer that goes on the end of this. Only one of them had it, so we'll pop this in now. Okay, and that dries the tack. I just need to put the bolt in here to secure it in. And then got an oil pump. And we'll put that back on. Hopefully it'll work. Do have to remember this. So let me show you how this works. The sump that you saw me clean out, that feeds up to here. The pump pulls the oil up here, runs it through the filter, pushes it out here through the engine. And that's the way it cycles it. So, I think I have this all cleaned up. I have a new gasket for it. I'm waiting for the clutches to soak with oil. And then we'll be good to put this on. Now I'm going to do the valve adjustment. So I'm just going to pop all these screws out and take all the caps off. And again, I'll have fun cleaning gasket, I'm sure. And I'll get back to you when I get everything apart. Alright, I got all 4 caps off. The originally on my gaskets are really thick. If you can find those, again, get those. Because the newer ones are like paper thin. The later ones had O-rings and they didn't use gaskets, but these early ones, they used gaskets. So I got it up on top dead center of the left cylinder here. The original spec was 6 thousandths for the intake and 12 for the exhaust. They later changed the spec to 6 and 3. We're gonna see how close this is to. This is 3. Okay, and this is 6. And 6 is tight on the intake. Intake tightness, not as much of a factor as exhaust tightness. At 6, this is really loose. So let's check it at 12. All right, at 12, it's tight. At 6, it's loose. So it's in between those two ranges. Yeah, because 12 I cannot get in there. It just gets stuck. 6, piece of cake. And this one at 6 is tight. And 3 is loose. So it's actually within the spec of the two specs they give. So do I loosen them up to the original spec, or do I tighten them up to the newer spec? That's the question. I think I have the XS1 tightened up to the newer spec. So yeah, let's do that. Let's do what the service bulletin was and tighten them up. All right, let me set you up here. All right, I've loosened this nut up and the adjuster here. One thing I will say, when you're done making your adjustment, this lock nut, make sure it's tight. I mean tight. I've heard stories of these things backing off, falling in there and cracking the head, so you don't want to do that. Get her. Or 3/1000. Got some drag on it, but it's moving. Let's see if we can tighten this and hold this. They always seem to move a little bit. And of course I took the carbs off and even the intake boots off. And that actually feels pretty good. Let me just crank on this nut and check it one more time. Did that move it? I don't know. Still back and forth with some drag. Good. So that one's all set. So we'll do the front one to 6/1000. Then we'll rotate this 360 and do the other side. So, with all the valves adjusted, I think that's where we'll leave it for this episode. Like I said, the clutches are soaking in oil, so they have to go back in before the side cover can go back in. Fill it with oil. Yeah, and then we go from there. There's still a lot more to go on this bike. We're just taking care of the engine part of it right now. We still got the tires, brakes, the fender's coming off, the steering's coming apart. We're going to put tapered bearings in the steering stem. We're replacing the headlight shell, the headlight ears, signal lights. We're fixing the high-low beam switch, and we've got a lot to do still, so I hope you hang around and come back for the next episode. Thanks for watching.